What's up, people? Welcome to the Health is Wealth Show. This is the show we talk about the relationship between your health, your wealth, and we're not just talking about the push-ups and dollar bills. Today's episode is all about our good friend ZZ, the Wonder Woman. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Jason Shirebley, and Bobby Jackson, our co-host with us, and our good friend ZZ, the Wonder Woman, is here with us today.
Finally got her on the podcast here.
Yes, I finally got an invitation.
The woman that does a little bit of everything.
She likes and follows everything we post, so we finally had to get her on
our
here.
Fourth listener right here.
Listen, when I saw your podcast, I was like, I'm all for it. You guys are perfect.
Appreciate that.
Love hearts. I was like, finally,
that's
you.
good.
I was like,
Finally.
this guy.
I'm telling you, this
No,
guy. That's what my new name's going to be, this guy.
This guy. And we're just glad we could book you, right? We were able to actually, I'm surprised you hadn't
Yes.
changed your number already and have an assistant with all the cool things you've been doing. So
I'm already to the point that I need an assistant.
Yeah.
So
That's
someone
why they
wants
call you the
to-
Wonder Woman.
Or an intern. Maybe I could teach someone.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
you can actually charge them for that stuff.
Yeah.
Just call it training. Everybody's crappy fitness programs out there, they just say they do training, teacher trainings, and then they just pocket a bunch of money. But so for those of you listening who don't know the connection, the three of us actually worked together at one of my first training jobs ever at a gym in Fort Lauderdale.
Really?
Starting
Was your
out.
first?
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I did a little bit of part-time work at a YMCA on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Got tired of training people in their 90s and, wanted to spice it up a little bit. So ended up coming over to the gym. Jason was already there. Zule, I think we were just determining before the show. Did you beat me there or you came after I'd started?
I don't know. I think we all started more or less around the same time.
I think Z beat you there.
Yeah.
I
So
think she beat
Jason
you.
and I being the personal trainers, Zule came into the group fitness department. It was just killing it with the specialty of Zumba.
Well, I started off as a sub first.
Okay.
And then I became a front desk
Just
person.
making celebrity appearances, right? It was just the substitute.
And then I got full-time class. I got my own
and then
class.
the full-time.
Yeah.
But as all trainers essentially by trade, it was that's where the connection started.
Yes.
We've all remained friends ever since then. And of course, you've been doing some other really awesome stuff since then as well. So still doing Zumba, right?
Yes.
You've found a way to kind of navigate through going online,
Still
virtual
doing Zumba.
style. You've been actually doing that over the computer, right? Through the internet.
Yeah. So now the studio I teach from is my own living room, and I made it into a studio so I can teach Zumba, and not only Zumba, but Strong by Zumba, which is a HIT workout. That is also
like a T25
from-
insanity for those non-Zumba people.
It's
Hard. It's tough.
It started off with Strong by Zumba, but they changed the name because everyone thought it was a dance class, and it's not. They were in for a rude surprise. And so now they call it Strong Nation. So it's Zumba and Strong Nation.
Okay.
Yeah.
By Zumba.
Just to differentiate the program
By
a little
Zumba
bit more.
Fitness LLC. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
very cool.
So,
Yeah, nice. And then your connection with the Zumba company goes back even further, right?
Yeah.
So even before we had met you, you had kind of an interesting start.
Yeah.
We ended up learning more about DJ ZZ, and that was
yes.
one of your original professions that you were killing, one of the original Miami DJs. And that even started before you had got the connection with Zumba Corporate. So
Well, I wouldn't say original Miami DJ.
okay, one of
'cause
them.
One of them.
I know there's a
one of them.
few.
I learned from the original Miami DJ. I was a product. I say I was
We'll
a
say,
product
okay.
of Miami's music, nightlife.
There you go.
I grew up there, so for me, it was always about going to clubs and dancing and music and the latest DJs and electronic music, techno, break beats. I mean, just everything. So I learned a lot from growing up in Miami and absorbing the whole music industry and the club scene. So
and
I would
getting
say
to
that.
see that, firsthand and actually being in it.
And always wanting to be a DJ because that was my thing.
Yeah.
And since high school, I had friends that were DJ, and I was like so intrigued by it, and I always wanted to learn. But I finally learned in 2009, and I started
Nice.
DJing.
Yeah, but
since
tell everyone
2008.
how you started learning from
That's a really
the job
interesting
that you
story
had.
too, yeah.
From the job that you had, you ended up DJing, which is not a job that you would think music-based learning.
I totally had a job that every time I say what I did before, people are like, "What? Really? You?" And
Exactly.
I'm like,
Because they're all careers. Any one
Yeah.
thing you've done, a lot of people just stick with it and just want to do it for the rest of their life. And you master it, and then you add a new craft, and you just continue building.
You know what
the
my problem
portfolio
is?
of skills.
I master it, and then I get bored of it.
Okay.
I like the challenge of learning and doing it, but once I get there, then I'm like, okay, what else?
I think those are all the traits of Wonder Woman.
Yeah. But you've also found a way to still remain active in a lot of these industries too, and doing them simultaneously at a high level.
I think I found like a balance that's working for me now that I'm not getting tired at all.
Yeah.
So basically what I did before, I was a paralegal. I went,
Boring. Sorry for any paralegals listening to us. We love you listening to us.
Our one paralegal
Let me
fan.
tell you,
Oh, no.
paralegals, they do all
Tough
the work.
work.
The attorneys are the face of their business, but the paralegals do all the
it's
work.
Like, it's like the doctors and nurses thing.
So big ups to all my paralegals and legal
Tough work.
assistants. I feel you.
Tough work, but you're at the desk. You're at the
8 hours
computer.
a day.
You're in the office. It's those type of work settings to where somebody like you, of course, we're now seeing so naturally wants to be active.
Yeah,
and moving
well,
around,
I've
working
always
with
been
people.
active. I've been a dancer since my first dance class. I was 4 years old. My
That's
ballet
a pretty
class.
strong start. Yep.
I did ballet, tap, and jazz all up until high school. I was in my dance team.
Fellow dancer. Yes,
And that was all in
fellow
Miami
dancer.
as well,
All
too,
in
right?
Miami.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
I was born and raised in Miami. My family, you can see the flag behind me, is
we had to give
Peruvian.
a shout out right behind me there.
Shout out to
I'm
Peru.
not
Shout out
covered
to
up
all
right
my
there.
Peruanos.
One of the
We love-
biggest soccer fans out there.
Yes.
You,
Soccer is big.
you guys
Well,
play. You guys play soccer.
Sorry,
in Peru? I didn't know.
Football.
Sorry.
Football.
So, yep.
So yeah, so dance has always been, but when of course you have to go to college. My mom wanted me to become a professional. She would say that to me, and I'm like, I don't know.
Thanks,
Is
Mom.
dance a profession? And she was like, no, that's a hobby. I'm like,
Oh, burn. Oh,
yeah.
Mom, come on.
So I studied psychology, and then I worked in the the foster care system. So I worked like seeing how the whole transition in the court system and court advocates and case advocates, so I learned about all that. I did do psychology, and then I kind of like the whole court system. So I'm saying, you know what, let me go to paralegal. Let me get my paralegal studies certificate and then see if I want to become an attorney. I was thinking about even becoming an attorney, but
More excruciating work and stuck in an office.
and
yeah.
let me tell you, a lot of attorneys are not very happy attorneys, and I don't want it. I mean, the money's good, the education's great, but it wasn't me.
Yeah, the same thing happened with me in the county. I just
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You work
Man,
for
you
the
dodged.
county?
yeah,
You dodged
that's
a
the same
bullet on
same
that
thing.
one.
People say the same thing about me. Like, you were an accountant for a while. Yeah, I got a
Oh.
degree in accounting, and I was in the cubicle, and fitness was my
Those
passion.
cubicles.
And everyone got mad when I opened up my can of tuna because I was all fitness.
You
and
had your
they're like,
you had your 1 gallon
everyone-
jug of water.
Exactly.
Were you that guy?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you were.
Khakis too tight, freaking trying to fit in, smaller the better. And,
Oh, yeah.
and just shoving
Oh,
general ledger
man.
stuff
Yeah.
into the computers.
That's basically how
God,
it was
that
as a
sounds-
paralegal. It was
Yeah.
8 hours a day. I would try to eat right, but you're just sitting, you're sedentary, and I was like overweight. I wasn't happy. And so basically how I got into DJing,
Which awesome story.
was my attorney that I was, doing work for was a DJ back in the 90s, and he had turntables, which they're
Actually, right behind us.
Right
over there.
behind
Yeah.
me.
The
I
same-
still have 'em.
The same
The
turntables.
same one. I would
so
never
when we
get rid of
tag
them.
that guy in our video that's
Yes.
coming out, he's going to recognize those
He's
tables.
gonna know this. I think
There
he
you go.
even tuned into one of my DJ lives one time.
Nice.
I
Oh,
saw
that's
his
cool.
name,
All
and
right.
I'm
you
like,
you guys did stay in touch. Oh,
yeah,
that's
no,
awesome.
we're friends on Facebook. I'm very grateful for him. We met for a reason, and
cool.
he actually told me, he goes, "Oh, Zule, you want them? They're in my garage and they're collecting dust." And I'm like, "Oh, you have turntables? I've always wanted my own." Because listen, let me tell you, being a girl and wanting to learn how to DJ, in a, you know, with other male DJs, like they don't want to teach you. They're like, oh, you're a girl, like that's so cute, like
you don't have any rhythm.
It's
like,
sad the number of industries that's in, right? Like you just assume it's just like doctors and lawyers and pilots were talking all that crap, but
you would
start
think
to
you're
realize,
like, oh, you want to DJ, like you help me out and teach me. Like, no, like it was more
seriously.
like, what are you doing? Like get out of here. Like
even in DJing.
Jesus.
So you were like, screw it, I'm gonna get my own. I'm going to be self-taught. I'm going to go
never
home.
even thought about getting my own. It was the opportunity of having my own. And I'm like, I want them.
What prevented you from even having the thought of getting into it? As you were saying, like, I didn't even think I was going to get it.
I think I grew up in a time where, and I think it's my cultural background. I mean, my parents are very old school Peruvians. Men do this and the women do that, and you know there's a big difference of what our roles are as a man and a woman, you know, like
are there common industries that Peruvian people tend to gravitate towards? How about that one? Deeper cultural question.
What do you mean?
Like
maybe you're getting too deep for me.
Like some people say, like, okay, nursing is a very, very popular occupation for
women.
Some people in this culture, right? Not, of course, not top to bottom, but it's sometimes like people gravitate towards.
You won't see a male become a nurse and the woman become the doctor. Okay. The men are the doctor and then the women. And it's an old school mentality that comes from
of basically being you should have a more feminine job.
Yeah.
Was the
like
idea.
If I become a professional, it's because I'm going to go to school and become something that women do.
Like your mom was probably super psyched when you started your career as a paralegal.
Well,
because she was like, "That's awesome." First of all, great
my
industry.
poor mom. My mom was more like, "Oh, she's going to go to school and become a psychologist," because I was studying psychology. And then when I was like,
still kind of are, because you work with so many different kinds of people.
Well,
Jason and I talk about all the time is like, not only your friendship with the two of us and having put up with us for so many years, but it's like the way that you have to connect with people individually, even as a group fitness instructor, is like,
and observe everyone's personality.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned, is that sometimes when I'm quiet and I'm just watching, I'm observing people and seeing all their different personalities and knowing how to work with them, because I already know kind of more or less who they are just based out of their personalities. Like I don't have to be your best friend to know you. Yeah. I just watch your body language and
you can see how I act and find out more about me than just random
like
questions.
I can tell Jason's the goofball, you're a little bit more, you know, serious, but you have a little bit of, you know, goofiness inside, but
smelliness
usually on the outside.
It's on the outside. It's not in the inside. That's for sure.
And then you two together was like yin and yang, like Beavis and Butthead. It was like
thanks for that.
Still a couple of turds, but that's all
I'm
good.
teaching Bobby how to smoke.
Yeah, but
so basically, just by seeing your podcast, I knew it was going to work.
But it's cool that like, and that skill that you developed early on in school has like now transcended just that industry, and now has of course been applied to pretty much everything you've done.
Yeah, everything. Now it applies to everything. But like my mom was like, oh, she's going to become a psychologist, and then I saw how many years it becomes a psychologist, and I've never really been into school. I'm more hands-on.
Yeah.
You know, I like to see something, learn it, and do it. I don't like to keep learning and learning, which you're always learning. I will say, I'm always learning, but I didn't want to be stuck in school the rest of my life.
Yeah, and I'll draw the line right there too, because I got through school. It was fine. If I needed to, I could have kept going. But at the end of the day, I didn't really enjoy it as much, right? You start taking a bunch of like general education courses to get a bachelor's, and it's like, okay, I have no passion in that industry versus learning a skill, right? To me, that's very different. I'm like, yes, it's still the learning process. I'm still applying the same techniques to learn new things, which I like to do as well. But it's different than like the formal school setting.
Right.
Because like the other things that you've spent time, you've probably studied equally as hard, if not harder, outside of school to learn these other crafts that you have, which we still haven't even got to the biggest and baddest one here. But so anyway, but let's take it back to the story there. So you get the turntables, you disappoint mom, you say, I'm going to be in music and entertainment.
Yeah, I told her it was from psychologist to paralegal to attorney to... What are you doing?
Like, DJ, and she acted like you were trying to kill her, right? So I'm imagining her emotions.
I remember my dad even told me, he goes, so let's before I even say what my dad told me, but So basically, once he sold. Okay, back to the attorney. He sold the turntables to me for only $200. Mind you, these things cost $800 to $1,000
Really?
each.
Oh, okay.
Now, Now,
So
because they're discontinued, they don't make them anymore. They used to, Technique 1200s. All my fellow DJs know what I'm talking about, but they're the best, one of the originals.
Cool.
Best turntables from the
now.
beginning when scratching and DJing started becoming popular in the 70s and 80s. But so yeah, it was a deal, and I could afford it at that time. Like 200 sold. So I would practice every single weekend. Every time I wanted to learn, and I wanted to kind of like learn on my own. Luckily, I had my then boyfriend, now husband. He was the one that actually took the time to break it down and explain to me what the pitch was, what a BPM was. Like, he had the patience to let me mess around with it, but teach me at the same time.
But had the technical knowledge to basically instruct you. Yeah, that's awesome.
He does.
As you guys can also see, for people watching the video, is the mountain of vinyl behind us.
Oh yes, I have a whole
Pretty
bunch.
awesome.
Probably have like
you
1,000.
no shortage of tunes back there.
So
too,
he was the one that actually, okay, this is what it is, and once I got it, and I'm very hands-on, so I will practice and practice and practice, and then once I started learning how to beat match on 2 turntables, no laptop.
Oh, snap.
Only ear.
Oh,
by the
man.
way, do you guys like my headphones?
Yeah,
the beautiful gold.
You had to scrap our Health is Wealth backups to rock the ZZ flavored ones.
Yeah,
right?
no,
We appreciate that, putting a flare on us.
Make ours look like garbage.
They
Way to
asked
go,
me if I
Jason.
wanted to use their headphones. I'm like, I have my own.
You're like, yeah.
Excuse me.
No,
we're talking
I
to a
don't.
professional DJ. Someone that actually
She's like,
makes
why
a
would I
career
do
out
that?
of this. Is used to hearing herself scratching all the time. Like I had to hear Bobby sing on the way over here. That was annoying. So that my ears are still ringing.
So good. I was really hitting those high notes in that.
Jeez Louise.
You were getting ready for my interview.
I wasn't sure how much dancing this was going to.
I was getting ready to
I know
cry.
last time we were on a show together, you did like a dance number. So
Oh, yeah,
you gotta
that's
watch out for that
right.
one. That custom fitness right there.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So back to the story. Let's keep it rolling. So we get the turntables.
Practice.
They ended up actually being an investment because they're probably worth more now than what you paid for them.
Yes, and I would never get rid of them.
You ended
They're
up
my
marrying
babies.
your music coach, who's
Yes.
just the man in the music scene already, which was probably your guys' connection too back in the day.
Yes,
so that was also awesome.
He's a producer, so he does produce
there you go.
music, and he does audio. He's an audiovisual tech. Installs.
So he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
He knows the
speakers,
serious details. Of
he was
the
one who taught me
microphones,
how
the
to even
speakers,
set up a whole DJ system.
Yeah, that's
when I started becoming a mobile DJ. So he gets a lot of credit, Jimmy.
Yep.
Jimmy.
Jimmy's the man.
Jimmy's the man right
Jimmy
there.
is the man.
Oh, yeah.
Let's give him plenty of shout out.
Yes.
Actually, he should be in on this.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he should have been. He didn't even.
We'll get him in there.
No, we didn't even ask him for his help and see if the sound was good. He could have said,
Yeah,
no,
why
that's
did
terrible.
we? Yeah, why did I
No, but
pretend
you know
like
what?
I knew
If
what I
he
was doing when
sometimes
Jimmy
he's
was here?
enjoying his day off, so
Okay.
he didn't want to be put to
So we
work.
had to make
Okay,
him
perfect.
quiet. Perfect.
Yeah, great.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I started doing was I started recording my mixes because it's all about the DJ mix, a mixtape, and I will upload it on. Yeah.
I love it.
Mixtape.
So you uploaded it to where?
SoundCloud and Mixcloud.
Okay.
SoundCloud, well, back then in 2009, SoundCloud, you had more.
They had SoundCloud back then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, okay. Nice.
Now it's a little bit strict because if I play like other people's music, they'll take it down, they'll flag it down. But now you can find my mixes on Mixcloud. ZZ of SoFlo. Everything is ZZ of SoFlo. But yeah, and then friends of mine, they were like, Zule, you're DJing now? Like, what? Because they knew me. I was always like the club girl. Like I was always at the clubs. I was at every party. I was at, so I was like the party girl. And then now I start DJing, so people are like, oh, okay. So then my friend Hans, DJ Hans, I got to give him a shout out too, because he was the first one who booked me, gave me the opportunity,
cool.
and I DJ'd
man, that's
at a pool party. And
That's pretty Miami right there. Yeah. All right. Nice.
And I didn't do good. I will admit, I was nervous. I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh. And what happened was my headphones, there's like an adapter there's an auxiliary and then the actual what you put in a DJ professional. Sorry,
Yeah.
I can't even think of the name
All
right
good.
now, but it was loose, so I couldn't hear the music. I will hear the music a little bit and then it'll cut off, and I have to hear the music
Oh God, yeah.
Before it goes out.
before it
man.
goes
Yeah.
out. I kept messing up and beat matching, and I was nervous. It was my first time, and he had patience with me. He kept booking me, so
That was good.
Yeah, like,
And knowing like, okay, what were you going to do it perfect from the first one? Like,
Yeah, no.
that's been Jason and I's joke with every single episode of our podcast is
Right.
like, yeah, we want to be able to look back like 5 episodes ago and be like, wow, yeah, we
Yeah.
made a bunch of really simple,
Exactly.
fundamental mistakes that I'm glad we see now, and we're going to make sure we don't do again.
and the other thing too is that it was CDJs. So CDJs is basically a CD. Instead of a
CDJs.
turntable with an actual vinyl record, it's
a
CD.
CD.
So
Okay.
I had CDs and I put it in. So it was my first time DJing on CDJs.
On CDJs.
When I've been
which
DJing on vinyl
for some
the
of
whole
the
time.
listeners might not even know what a CD is.
Oh, yeah.
So that's okay before MP3, right?
Yeah.
That was- No, so anyway, so you get the first gig out of the way, you start making improvements.
And,
Dude keeps booking you. What was his name again?
DJ Hans.
DJ Hans kept booking ZZ right there, just
Hans.
building her future out.
And then I got other bookings, and before you know it,
So clearly you had made a lot of improvements.
oh yeah.
You skipped the part where you're supposed to pat yourself on the back because you're getting all these other bookings now. So clearly
Well-
you started to just totally crush it.
I think
how many
too-
shows did it take for you to really feel like you were grooving?
Probably after a year.
Probably after the people that started hiring her said grooving.
Yeah,
Probably.
exactly.
That
And
was-
we're talking
were they using
Miami.
that word
I
back
Not
there?
Minnesota.
Yeah, on my CDJs.
I think what it was is seeing people dance on the dance floor and enjoying my set was a big indicator that I'm doing good.
Yes, it's that people are taking this in. People
Yeah.
are using it for what they need to, which is to be able to dance and keep
Right.
partying.
Yeah, I worked in enough clubs through college that it was so obvious because they booked DJs regularly differently, but they booked them out a month out, especially when I lived in Nashville. And but it's a good point because it's so funny when a DJ's especially if you're not reading the crowd of what crowd's in
Yeah.
there, and the mix that you played the night before is not going to work with the same mix that's on a Monday night,
Yeah.
a corporate gig.
Yeah.
Then everyone's 70 and up.
Yeah.
You got to play the different mix.
It's a different crowd. I mean, there's different type of DJing. There's DJing like a DJ that they play their set and people are there to hear your set. And then there's DJing where you're playing to the crowd and they're going to ask you for songs that you normally don't, play, but you have to have it be ready. You have to read your crowd.
And I hope you have Mambo number 5 ready.
Yeah, they will ask me for some. I've gotten some crazy requests, and I'm like, really?
chicken
You
dance?
Want,
Don't. Oh man.
you want
why did
Britney
I was
Spears
thinking
right
that. I
now?
could-
Like,
YMCA?
yeah. Or like I will be at a pool party where it's like house music, and somebody will ask me like, "Can you play J Balvin?" I'm like,
Or some alternative collective soul
Yeah.
all of a sudden in a Miami pool
or
mix?
somebody
like, what?
asked-
Or like
No.
a country song, and you're like, yeah, sorry, no.
no. See, when they ask me for country music, I ask the person like, "Okay, what name?" And I'll download it real quick because I don't.
Oh, you still will?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I'll
nice
put
of
a
you. Okay.
hotspot. I'll
But-
do it.
Yeah,
No, she'll
yeah.
put a hotspot like 5 seconds, like,
Yeah.
yeehaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeehaw. Yeah.
You heard the yeehaw,
Right
I
back
played
to
it.
I've had somebody ask me like, "Play Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses," and I'm like, right now
South
it's
Beach?
electronic
Like, did you hear
music.
the last song? That doesn't
We have
even
glow
fit what we're
sticks
doing
out right
here.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, once I start getting bookings and I see people and people were following me and liking, then I built my confidence.
Good.
Definitely built my confidence, and it built. There's been times of other male DJs are like they'll still like give me a hard time because I'm a girl. But then I think I didn't realize I will gain their respect after they heard me play. So I wasn't really a joke.
And
you know?
like the key to a lot of things is the success also came from staying consistent.
Yeah.
And continuing to work at it, right? You didn't
Yeah.
hear the first guy say, "Oh, what? You're trying to be a woman DJ?"
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Oh my God, you're right. I am a woman. Let me just stop." It
Yeah,
was no.
well,
I'm going to keep going. And
I
I'm going
think
to
it's
show
my
you that I am.
personality because I think, like I said, growing up in a very old-fashioned Peruvian family where girls do this and boys do that, it was a challenge for me. Like I wanted to do it even more. And so this is the part where my dad was like, "Hijita, hijita." I'm like, "Yeah." Hijita means daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daughter. Like,
Not mija.
no, he says hijita. Mija.
Did I make Mija up? I thought I...
No, Mija's right.
Mija's correct.
But it's more like hijita, my daughter, my little daughter.
Hijita. Okay.
Hijita. He was like, hijita. He goes, let me ask you a question. I'm like, what, papi? And then he'll say, this is only a hobby, right? This is not what you're going to do professionally. This is a hobby. And I'm like, see, papi, it's only a hobby, because
you just couldn't let him.
No, because I didn't want him to.
He was so disappointed, thinking you're never going to do it. Oh man.
He wants to say that my daughter is a doctor or an attorney, not like my daughter's a DJ. And everyone's going to be like, what? Your daughter's a what? Now my dad is like proud. Now I will say I got my radio and music skills from my dad because he actually has his own radio show in Peru.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He has his own
Save
salsa.
that for when we're filming right here.
Yeah.
No way.
So I will he does it for a hobby.
Papi really does know what's up around the microphones.
Papi was the one that had the turntables. He had maracas at home. Like, he was the musician in the house.
Okay.
But for him, it was always a hobby. It wasn't like, but I think once he saw that I was putting myself out there, and then he learned about like doing your own podcast and radio and digital, he started his own thing, and he plays like old Spanish music that people would have forgotten, but he makes videos for them. Like he'll put like family photos, do a video, and then,
that's cool.
And next thing you know, he's like being interviewed in a Peruvian radio station. He has all these followers,
and he started doing that after you had become the DJ.
Yes.
So shut the front door.
It's kind of like we influenced each other.
Did you ever try to sit him down and, Papi, this radio thing you're trying to do is just a hobby, right? You're not trying to follow me, are you? Please tell me you're just doing this for fun. You're not trying to be as cool as me, are you?
He'll call me and say, Hita, I did an update and now it's not working. What do I do?
So he's still a dad. I love it.
Yeah,
so he's still a dad in every sense of the word.
But he has fun with it. And it's the same thing with me. Like, I have fun with it. I love it. I love seeing people dancing. I love seeing people having a good time. And I did that.
Yeah,
that's
good.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or like I've been booked for weddings, and the bride and
huge,
groom are like, oh my gosh.
Expectations are huge
and
at
you know
weddings,
what?
right?
If you're a wedding DJ and you screw up their whole wedding. Right? So it's a lot of pressure. So at the end, when they tell me, Zule, I had a great time, oh my gosh, it just makes me feel
Especially
good.
Especially with the 200 songs they give you that they want to be played
Yeah.
within this period of time before they all fall asleep.
Yeah.
So side question, not to derail the conversation once again, but so when you get done with like the best gig ever, do you feel like I genuinely didn't make any errors during the set? Or is it more like okay, they were so minor, people didn't even notice it, and things that would have really bothered you when you first started, you're realizing, okay, those problems aren't actually problems, and I'm the only one that noticed, okay, I made that little switch, or a couple seconds off, you're the pro, you're the only one that actually caught that, and everybody else is still having a great time.
Well, I'm a perfectionist, so like when I first started, like I had my music lined up, and I knew I was going to play, and I didn't want to try to figure out what to play, and then the song plays out, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I wanted it continuous. So I was kind of like, can I say the word anal?
Anal?
Yeah.
Anal? Can you say the word anal?
I was kind of anal with my
Bobby, can she say the word anal?
Yeah, I'm not offended. Why would that? Yeah, why are you looking at me?
Okay.
Just making sure.
We're not saying the word anal on the show.
Yeah, different context. You're not talking about somebody's anal. You're talking about being anal. That's
anal.
Totally
different. I would do that, but then I started loosening up and having more fun with it, and now I have like a huge playlist, and it's more like I go by genres, and I see what people like, and then I know I got to switch it up.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was like, and now if I mess up, a lot of people don't realize, and I try to like. You have fun with it. You just don't like beat yourself up and say like it wasn't perfect. No, as long as I don't train wreck.
Don't train wreck.
If I don't train wreck, then I'm good. But if
the
I'm
music
constantly on beat,
stops and you're like,
if you hear a beat and then I'm like ba-doom, 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 like no, then I'll be embarrassed. But no.
But that's good. And that was kind of like an episode that Jason and I released. Is it coming up or it's already out?
No, it's out.
Your problems are your problems.
No,
right?
no. That's one's coming.
That one's.
What we recently.
In case you haven't heard it yet, go back to our catalog and listen to it. In the meantime, it's kind of the same idea, being where at the beginning we really get ourselves stressed out, right?
Yes.
Maybe we're in a new venture or a new industry, whatever, and we try to do that. Like I'm sure the first set, there was so many just nerves just from being there that your performance was actually probably pretty good. It's just you kind of probably bummed yourself out halfway
Yes.
through thinking, oh shit, that transition was kind of off a couple seconds here. I should have started earlier.
Up.
And it was like everybody else was probably just jamming and having a great time. And it was like you made that a problem for yourself and nobody else even, acknowledged that there was an issue.
No,
so
I would beat myself up and I would feel like crap. I mean, there's been times that I came home and I would cry and my husband like, you weren't too bad. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, no, it wasn't perfect. But then I realized like no one really cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Oh, that's what it was.
They're either drunk.
Yep.
And nobody was like,
and
really?
they didn't even stop dancing anyway, right?
No.
They were still just flopping around.
I mean, but I mean, there's been times that I've train wrecked and was really bad, and I was like dying of embarrassment.
Genuine,
but you know, it's a development. You have to put yourself out there. You have to fail in order to overcome and succeed.
But then at the other end, the best set you've ever done, have you ever felt like, yep, every single part of that was perfect? Or do you always have little things that you think you want to improve on for the next show?
I mean, if I did good and I feel good, I'm celebrating.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
I'm just like the happiest person ever.
Which we should be doing no matter what, right? But it's like still
I feel
being
good,
critical of ourselves.
But I don't go back and kind of regret, and I wish, I just.
Good.
I have problems with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always feel like there's room for improvement. I mean, even when people are giving me testimonials after a class and people that oversee a class that I'm teaching, I still feel like, I could have had better energy, even though no one else noticed, or I could have picked on that person a little bit more, or stopped picking on. So I think that's where I relate to you. I'm a perfectionist in that way.
I think I do that in my fitness classes. I notice that because especially with Zumba, where I'm teaching online now, in the beginning it was hard. It was a hard transition to take it from a fitness studio to online alone in my house, and I'm trying to like make them feel my energy through a TV screen. It was hard.
It's hard.
And I'll be like, I didn't do so good. I don't think, but what I started doing was recording my videos, like my class, and seeing where I need to improve. So I was my own instructor and trying to fix it up. So I went back and said, I could have done this better. Let me look at what I did and let me try to fix it. And even my energy, like I have to mentally motivate myself and put myself where I can display that with my students.
Well, those are things that I noticed about you a long time ago. Well, whatever position you were at the gym, you're always early.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's because you're prepping, because you want that's how I grew up is if you show up on time, you're late because you're not mentally prepared to get into there.
Right.
And that annoys me about other instructors that show up 30 seconds after they were supposed to start and they're just going.
Oh, yeah.
That just bothers
for my classes, I'm on time, but I'm not always early.
You're early.
But you're always,
I live by Miami time.
If you watch everyone else, you're early.
But you're still prepared. Not like the one we can compare it to, which if you guys listening again haven't seen it yet, the Dean Fanning episode we did that we released a couple weeks ago. That kid, man, do you remember at the gym we all used to work at? And man, he would show up 30 minutes early, writing everything out. Yeah. I mean, it was so much organization went into the prep for every single class that he gave just to make sure it was on point. And I know that was kind of really earlier on in his career, but like, man, he was the show up and he'd just hang out, be eating his lunch and still writing up workouts an hour before the classes actually happened.
The only guy that has veins in his abs that can eat cheeseburgers right before teaching an aerobic class.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is too, is when even though we're instructing, I also tell myself, I'm also performing because they expect a lot from me, like when I'm teaching and when I'm dancing and the energy, it's a whole production. So I need to mentally be there. So even when I DJ, I don't get there and just DJ when it's my time. I get there like an hour early, get a feel for the music, have a drink, loosen up, get a feel for it, and then read the crowd. And then when I'm on, it's like
you're on.
But
I'm on,
yeah, that also ties into the fact that you're actually a DJ. You're not a 2000s DJ where I just plug in my phone and hit play and then just dance around and swing my arms in the air. You're actually getting in there and creating the sound.
There is DJs that are push button DJs and
some of them make way too much money, but that's fine.
And you know what? Yeah, to me it's more like how you use your items, like with your equipment. How do you use it? Do you make the crowd? Because I do have a controller because I am a mobile DJ, so I call myself a one-woman band where I set up, I have my speakers, and I'll play, and then I take everything down. So I set it up and break it down. So I can be a push-button DJ.
But it's sounds you've pre-created, right? It's not, you're not necessarily live mixing. It's
No, I'm
stuff
mixing.
you've pre-put together.
Live. No. I'm mixing live.
Okay.
It's more like, it's not like a vinyl record where it's running and I'm going like that. It's more like I cue it up, I press the button, and I press it when it's time to go. It's just buttons DJing, and there is digital DJing, and you know that's where we're at. This is 2020.
Yeah, that's just the technology evolution.
But again, for me, being a woman in a male-dominated industry, I didn't want to start off as a digital DJ and then not knowing the original way of DJing. I believe if you're going to do anything, you got to learn the history and master the what it was initially before you can go off and do whatever you want. And as a woman, if somebody put two turntables, they're like, oh yeah, you're a DJ, show me how to DJ. I can go there and do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And not say, oh, I'm sorry, I need a controller. That's the only way I'm going to DJ. No, that I'm limiting myself, and I'm not gaining the respect as for other male DJs who have been doing this since the 70s and 80s. No, it's like I wanted that to prove, to say, you can't take this away from me. Like, I know what my stuff.
Yeah, learning the original skill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
And if other people want to do digital DJing, it's up to them. It's all about how you control the crowd and you entertain the crowd. You know, but for me, it was not only that, it was learning the actual skills to be a DJ, you know.
So I feel like there's a lot of similarities, and we got to get into your Zumba background. You had some moments where you had to switch and switch directions, in how you discovered Zumba. Is interesting too.
So once I learned how to DJ, and this will lead up to the future, I bought my house that I'm living in right now, my studio that we're in right now. I just got tired of being a paralegal. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my weight, and I just enjoy being active. So I quit. I just quit. I didn't even think about what I was going to do. I was just more like, I'm tired and I'm unhappy. I think I had a fallout with another attorney that I was working with. There's different attorneys. I was just tired. It wasn't anything personal.
You needed something with a higher energy.
Yeah.
Kind of the burnout phase.
One of the things that my mom said to me, and I actually listened to her this time.
Wow. Well, it probably wasn't as
props
mean
to
as
mom.
the last time.
One for mom.
A+ mom.
1 and 1.
Was she told me, Zule, why don't you become a group fitness instructor and get certified, because you like to dance and you haven't been dancing a lot, and I know you've always been into fitness and you haven't been doing it lately. Maybe you should become a group fitness instructor. And I was like, me teach a class in front of like 20-30 people? I can't do that. There's no way. Because I was very...
Was it tying the physical performance in? Because you were used to standing in front of crowds already from the DJ gigs.
Well, the thing
was it
with
now
DJing,
you had to physically perform that made it a little bit more intimidating?
I think it was like the next step for me, but I didn't know it. When I'm DJing, I'm in my zone. So the only time I look up is to check and see if people are enjoying themselves or if they're not. Yeah. And if they are enjoying themselves, I'm going to keep going.
They always are, because they're always going Z, 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 Z.
They're going boots and cats and boots and cats.
That's my favorite song.
So the thought of even now, I'm talking about leading a class and talking to people. I was very shy, believe it or not. You know, with DJing, you can be an introvert and be in your own little world. But when you're actually teaching a group fitness class, now you
still have to be able to put on the show.
Yeah,
you got to turn it on, and
I'm leading a class, and I'm the one directing the whole environment. And I just thought I couldn't do it. You know, I was kind of like shy and nervous about that. And I'm like, but I was just so tired of being a paralegal that I was like, you know what? F it. I'm going to do it. So I quit cold turkey. I was like, Friday, 4:00, I left him a note.
Oh,
says,
man.
today's my last day. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Thank you for everything, but I'm done.
Oh man, yeah, okay.
and
Off
basically,
like a Band-Aid right
so
there.
basically, you know, I had money saved, so I was thinking, let me just study to be a group fitness certificate. You know, get my group fitness certification, and let's see what happens. I mean, I'm somebody that I'm like, God will take care of me. God will lead me. I'll be okay. You know. So I spent a month studying, and after a month I started getting nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a job. What am I gonna do? I don't want to go back to being a paralegal. Like, what do I do? So one day I went to careerbuilder.com, which I think it was more popular back then.
No, that was the spot back in the day.
Yeah. So I just typed in fitness just to see like what will pop up, and all of a sudden I see Zumba fitness, Zumba fitness, Zumba fitness, Zumba fitness, and I'm like, what is this? You know, I didn't really know what Zumba
Had
fitness was.
you heard of the program before? You had heard about it, but you didn't really know what it was all about, right?
I remember I was working out. I used to work out at Bally's.
Okay.
Back in the days.
But
I was actually working out. I wasn't teaching.
Okay.
You know, and I remember they introduced like a salsa class, and it was called Zumba, and I thought it was like a workout for people like my mom.
A little bit older population. Okay, so
and
that was kind of the image in your head was like, okay.
And I'm not really, I mean,
slower pace.
I like salsa, but it's not like, I went salsa dancing every weekend. I was more into the club, techno, you know, electronic music.
Yeah.
So, so I saw it, and it was like, oh, Zumba Fitness is a dance fitness company. I'm like, okay. Executive assistant. I'm like, that's similar to a legal assistant, right? So I go, you know what? I'm just going to apply. I applied. And it come to find out they were looking for executive assistants with paralegal
specifically
backgrounds.
Perfect opportunity.
That
You
sounds
quit
like
being a
meant to be.
paralegal and you became a paralegal. Perfect opportunity. That's
Yeah.
what we call career growth.
That's Jesus taking the wheel right there.
But
Perfect.
you know what?
Right back to what I was
In a
doing.
fitness company that is the number one
Perfect
fitness company
transition.
in the world. Like, hello.
Very
So
nice.
I got the job.
And not even as an instructor yet.
No.
You were working on the corporate side of things.
Yeah.
So that's also really
And by the
interesting.
time they
right?
hired me, I already got my group fitness certification. I was just thinking like, all right, I'm group fitness certified. So
Was that group fitness through Zumba or was
no,
that unrelated?
ACE.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through
gotcha.
ACE. No, but I didn't know. I'm like, okay, how am I going to teach a class? And you know what? I'll figure it out later. Let me get this job because I need to pay my bills. And I got hired, and you know, I learned what Zumba Fitness was once I started working there. And I loved it. It was an amazing experience, and I met so many creative people, and I knew this was for me. This is like, they even looked at me like, wait a minute, Mesa-Zevallos Zumba?
Is this undercover boss? What are we doing here? Did you actually invent this?
They were
just
like,
trying to trick
wait a
us all?
minute, like who would work for Zumba and have their first and last, their maiden name as with a Z? So like, well, me.
That did sound like the perfect fit. Yeah.
It was.
So
the
how long
perfect
were you
fit.
working in the corporate side before you transitioned over
I think
to
I worked
instructor there?
about 4 years.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Before
I
you
knew
started-
that. I knew you
No,
during that
I
time.
think
Before the training
I think it was
component
2
came
to 3 years that I was working there. And then eventually what happened was, if I really looked at the whole dynamics of the business, of the company, and where I felt like I needed to be, it was more not behind the scenes, but the instructor.
Yep. Very nice.
Because I did get my group fitness certification. I just didn't know how I was going to transfer that into an actual class. And once I started working there and I started learning, and I would take classes there and I would learn from everyone all around me. And then it got to the point that I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to go off on my own.
Very nice.
And of course they thought I was crazy.
Did they?
Yeah.
They weren't encouraging, or they just didn't want to lose somebody in the office?
I wouldn't say they weren't encouraging. I had a lot of support and be like, Zule, you want to become instructor? Like, awesome. But I think I also had some like, you're going to leave a well-paying job.
They wanted to keep you in corporate. Yeah.
In the best job ever, working for like the coolest people ever, to go become an instructor and get paid by class.
But
Like,
here's the question: were you getting the pants at that time? Were you able to wear those Zumba pants?
What do you mean?
The little trays, the little strings.
Oh, yeah.
What's it called?
You know,
What
are they?
They were like parachute pants.
When you always did the events that you always hosted, and I was excited when I knew the other Zumba instructors because I always wore the pants.
Yeah.
And if corporate was like that, I might work there with all the pants.
Yeah, I mean, we would shop, we would buy clothes, and everyone dressed in Zumba wear.
It would be, how many colors can you wear in one day?
Yeah, no,
I do appreciate that component of like
Bobby's wearing
culture.
Bobby wears gray and I wear black. And
yeah,
that's it.
pretty much.
Well, it's a very colorful company, and people will come up all bright color, but I'm a little bit dark inside. I was the one
which is
buying
a good
black.
contrast, right? Like which is funny because you're a very happy person.
I am.
It's not that black matches your personality. You're just, that's the color you gravitate towards. So,
it's just, I like the black with the purple or pink accent.
Then now you're in Zumba, which, like Jason said, is how many different colors can I wear simultaneously?
Exactly. When there's a party,
that perfectly nails.
I don't care if anyone has never heard of Zumba until now on this podcast. We're glad we can bring it to you. But if you want to know where Zumba party is, look for the group that has the most colors. I promise you there are Zumba instructors in there.
They're going to be dancing and sweating and laughing. And it looks like the most positive, happy environment ever.
It is.
It is. I mean, the colors are, just the colors alone is just vibrant, and then, all that stuff. But it's just not my style. I'm a little bit I'm, like I said, but I couldn't wear the Zumba green, even though the Zumba green color, the logo is a Zumba green. It's a great color, but it's just not something I can see myself wearing. But I remember people saying, is that the Zumba, the people with all the colorful clothing? I'm like, yeah, Zumba wear? Yes, it is, and it fits their personality, because to be a Zumba instructor, you have to be vibrant and really connect with your students and your participants of the events, and really put on this production, and
where your psychology comes back into play right there. That's right.
So it is, the colors fit the whole personality of the company. Was just perfect.
So we're at this point. We're at this point where you have the education to understand what the heck people want and are trying to get out of themselves. And then you have the music background, and now you have the instructor and dance ability to guide people into a happier moment in dance.
Right. So I think what I wanted was to finally come out of my shell, because even though I was a DJ, like I said, I can be in my own world and be a DJ, but now it's to come out and be that instructor, come out and be that, and own that, hey, I'm a DJ. I am a Zoom instructor. I to own that and come out without the fear of people being like, what do you do? You're not a professional attorney, or you're this. It's like, it's hard to own it. And I think now it's a little bit easier because it's more accepted. Yeah. But 10, 15 years ago, you're going to school and you're going to become this, and everything is a hobby.
Yeah, for me, I remember having business conversations in the few hours of class time that we spent on the business. And my when I went back to school for physiology, was it's okay being in sweatpants and making six plus figures a year. No one's going to judge you anymore. Like you said, 10, 15 years ago, they did. Yeah. If you wore shorts and told someone you were a personal trainer before 2001, you better be a universal instructor for a big university school or an Olympic coach.
Right. Yeah. There is this type of standard that you had to, be, and now you're stepping out of the standard and trying to make it your own. And anything new and foreign to people, it's going to be a little bit, you're going to have some resistance, or people looking at you like, what the hell's wrong with this girl? But it's a matter of overcoming that and owning it and being it. For me, it was a growing experience, because now I can walk in a room and lead 40, 50 people in a class and be confident and make it a great time, and walk out of there and go home and be like, I did a good job.
Yeah. And not only that, you can tell people that you went viral.
Yes, I did go
viral. How many people are listening right now who went viral?
I remember when that happened.
And where is that video again? We talked about that a little bit before. I don't think we got it in this cut right here, but you had put out a video that was then shared by
I think
Zumba
I put it on
Corporate.
Instagram.
And it was you said it was a new mix or a new song that had come out?
It was a new song
that you just did your own, created your own choreography. You took a short clip of it, just crushing this brand new music.
Trying to promote
before
the class.
They had even put programming out, right? So that was the catch, was that it was totally unique choreography.
It was a brand new song
to a brand new
licensed
song
by Zumba.
that they hadn't even made the choreography for.
I don't know if there was choreography.
But yours was totally separate. You had done your own thing.
Zumba, what Zumba does is what made them, they're like a genius company where they get licensing deals and release music, but they release music with Zumba choreography.
Yeah.
So, that's what people love about Zumba. Me, sometimes I just don't have time to watch the choreography sometimes. So it's easier sometimes for me to create my own choreography. So I did my own choreography and I recorded it with the purpose of marketing Zumba at the gym that we worked at.
Yeah. And instead of just doing that, corporate Zumba liked it so much they shared it to a page which ended up getting just shy of about 1 million views.
Well,
right?
when you create a video for a song, which now a lot of people do that, there is music licensing issues, but with Zumba, because they have that licensing deal and you're a Zumba instructor, you get like a minute where you can share and it doesn't get flagged. And if they see people doing choreography to a song, sometimes your video can be shared. It's like a artist. I've seen artists share people's choreography and it gets known.
Yeah.
It's on their platform.
Yeah.
It's on their Instagram. So,
and especially because you were already essentially a Zumba representative, right? You had been training all these years. You had the flow down. You know what kind of choreography even looks good, even though it wasn't theirs to their song yet. And they just love that combination so much. They promoted it for you.
Yeah, I mean, it caught someone's eye at the home office, and they shared it.
And it was a great way to promote them as well, and then to show, hey, these are one of our people. And then you racked up like over 800,000 views on that.
It was
pretty
crazy.
Incredible. Yeah, that was great. So.
Like I said, my page went from a couple hundred to like over 1,000. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
I think I'm at 2,000. I don't know, so around there,
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically when I became a Zumba instructor, that was my goal. Was I ended up quitting Zumba fitness so I can pursue becoming an instructor. And what I initially did was I'm going to now make money by being a Zumba instructor and doing Zumba events and DJing and doing, special events, weddings, corporate events, booking. I even DJ'd for Zumba. They would hire me for their own different events.
Tied them all together.
So basically that's what I was doing initially, was developing, getting my name out there. And even that was, when you start your own business and now you're trying to make your own money. That's one of the things I wanted to do, is I didn't want to regret not having my own business. I always try to dabble into different things and it was never successful. But now that I had learned so much from the home office, because they really teach instructors how to like make money and become a business person. And that's what's great about the company. Yeah. So I kind of implemented that with my DJing and my Zumba instructing.
And another passion you had kind of cooking in the back burner was your fascination and interest with real estate, right?
Yeah, with real estate.
You got a pretty awesomely early start at investing in your first property when you were 24, so just a couple years ago. So it hasn't been a long time. But
was this yesterday?
Yeah, but at 24, I mean, that's another thing that I've admired is you have great control over your finances, right? It's the idea of budgeting properly, spending properly, investing in the right things, and it's like, and we can just tell, And so you got the early start, and you had first bought a condo, is that right?
So basically after college, I went to college in Orlando and I came back and I gave myself 1 year to live back with my parents because, once you leave, you don't want to go back.
Nope. Love you, Mom and Dad, but
I love you, but I was just very independent. So I gave myself 1 year and worked, saved money, and then at that time there was apartments that were being converted into condos, and
nice.
And they were fairly well priced, and I go, you know what, let me try it. I got approved.
And what part of town was that in
Kendall.
In Kendall, okay.
Kendall, South Miami.
South Miami.
Yeah, that's
the
Kendall's
real
where
South Miami.
Yeah, that's La Saucera, we say Saucera.
That's what I say.
That's what I always say too. So you got the first start in. You had got way south of the city, but
so I got started with it, and I sold it right before the recession.
Oh,
okay, nicely done. Okay, so you made a couple bucks, we're assuming.
A couple bucks.
Okay, made a couple bucks, right? And then it was the rollover into, did you guys go straight into the house here?
No. Basically, I was still in Miami at that time. I sold the house. My parents had moved to Orlando, so I helped them sell their house. I had to like renovate it a little bit and then help them sell it. Basically, the house was kind of outdated. So I invested some of my money that I made from the sale.
Wow, that's great.
To helping them sell their house.
Very nice.
Got the home sold. And then fast forward, gosh, how many years? I don't know. I was 32 years old when I bought my house.
The house that we are
my
in
single
right now.
family. And I bought the house after the recession.
Good choice. You cashed out before.
I cashed out.
And then bought back in.
And not that
after.
I had any
Beautifully
insider tips. It was just timing.
Luck
it
of
was
the draw.
luck.
You just,
The value of the home went up. It was time for me to move. I was planning to do. I'm very like. It's hard for me to stay in one place.
Well, here's what
I get bored of things, so I keep on. So I'm like, let me sell it, and so I can do all these other things.
We've learned. I've learned a few things through this thing. Is at the beginning of the show you talk about always wanting to educate yourself, but got bored with the traditional educational system, and I think that's really sums it up what you're talking to. So you've always liked a challenge, and you've never forgotten anything that you've been in, from the paralegal to the DJing to the Zumba, and you've always progressed to add something, not take away. You've never taken anything away. You've just mastered it to where you think you can control it when you need it. It's there, and now you've enhanced that, and lucky you had a little bit of luck with the real estate.
I think I just like add on and I add on and I add on.
Because they're all true passions, right? Some people just get into random things because they think it's just an easy way to make money. The cool part about you is, although from the outside some of them seem unrelated, you truly had a deep passion and were involved in a very intense way in each industry, which leads us to the fact that you are also a killer real estate agent.
Yes,
so for any of our listeners, let her know if you need a house, need the apartment, whatever you need in real estate.
Yeah.
When did you get your license?
So after I bought my house,
Yeah.
and I went through the whole process of becoming, learning how to become a group fitness instructor, DJing and doing all that. After a while, like while making money as a mobile DJ and an instructor is great, I kind of wanted more. I needed more.
I think you had your mornings available. That's what it was.
It was what?
You had your mornings available. Yeah. Because those are all night gigs.
Oh, yeah. So I would teach at night. Well, there was one time I did start teaching full time, but I was getting tired. And then my weekends was gigs and setting up and DJing a party for 6 to 8 hours. I mean, like, it gets tiring.
Oh, that's a haul. Yeah.
And I just, what it was? I think was becoming an instructor and making money on your own. It was like, okay, I made a couple $100. Then it was $500. Then I made my first $1,000. And then I made my first, $1,200 gig. You know what I'm saying?
Where you're realizing, like, oh man, I'm billing.
Yeah, so I always had
better.
so like I want a $2,000 check, I want a $5,000 check. So the only way for me to do that, I mean, there's only so many hours and so many classes I can teach and so many DJ gigs I can do.
You're certainly capped.
Yeah. I'm kind of capped.
When you're making a certain number per hour. You
Even
have
for
the
Superwoman.
That's perfect.
There's 24 hours in a day. You're stuck. If we're making $50 an hour, there's no way you're going over that.
Yeah, like it was more like I either had to keep getting more gigs, and it was just tiring me out.
Yeah.
Or
don't tell that. They think you're Wonder Woman. Don't tell them that. You don't get tired.
Well, Wonder Woman Okay, so Wonder Woman mastered
her sword,
DJing and becoming an instructor. As always, there's something else. There's another challenge for me out there. And the next challenge was, maybe I should get my real estate license.
Become the real estate professional, which I think was awesome. Like you had said before, too, was like you had already helped, fix up and stage your own parents' home. Even before you were, the licensed professional, was that even showed how deep the passion was.
It was just natural for me.
It's just already involved with buying, selling, fixing up real estate.
And even the
before you were professional.
Even the condo conversion that I had bought, I fixed it up And when I did put it on the market to sell, it sold quickly.
Yeah,
and top dollar too. I think it was like one of the highest sold in the area
awesome.
at that time. And it's never been as high as what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
right. Yeah. You sold it at a high right
yeah,
there.
so
And that's the idea too. Everybody knows 100 different real estate agents, right? That's such a popular game in South Florida, but to try to actually find one that has personal experience buying and selling homes.
And that's where my niche was.
Yeah,
because even though I got my license in 2016, I didn't actively start going into real estate until 2017. And even that, it was kind of like, now how do I transition from a group fitness instructor to DJing to now real estate? Like, because when you think of a real estate agent, you think of someone that's in a business suit and they've been doing this for 30 something years. And there's an old mentality of what real estate agents are, which it's a profession. They have to be professional.
Yeah.
So if I meet someone and I say, hey, I'm a fitness instructor and a DJ and I'm a realtor, they're going to look at me like, what?
Yeah, it's hard because they don't know the whole backstory.
Yeah, they don't know the whole backstory.
And unfortunately, because the industry is also flooded similarly to health and fitness, it's filled with people who don't truly respect the craft, who aren't truly involved with the craft, right? It's like a personal trainer who doesn't exercise.
Yeah.
Where like, okay, why would they even get involved with that? People who have only ever rented and haven't actually gone through the transaction of buying or selling a home themselves, I wouldn't trust to help me buy or sell a house, right? So it's cool that like you actually have that experience and the passion.
And,
I think
and the thing is too is if you really look at what I do, when I play music, I'm helping them forget about life and like enjoy the moment, listen to the music, have a great time. When I'm teaching a Zumba class, I'm taking people an hour out of their reality and making them have a good time. I'm helping them, right? And to get to enjoy the moment. So in real estate, I get to now help people, which I enjoy helping people, and it's helping them find their new home or sell their property. And the process of making them happy or making them feel good or helping them it's led me to where I'm at right now.
That psychology,
yeah,
that advanced psychology understanding coming right back around, fitting perfectly into another industry.
Right. And then that's another thing too, is learning the business. I learned it through teaching and my DJ, and now I'm going to apply everything I learned into real estate. And that was a challenge for me, and I just love the challenge. And it's worked, luckily, things have been doing very well in real estate, and a lot of my students refer me because they already trust me.
You've already built that.
I already built that relationship with them.
People listening to you, people trusting you.
Yeah.
For me, of course, I can't get enough out of just that backstory of actually being involved with real estate already. Is like you didn't just stumble on that because you want to make big commissions. No, you were already involved.
It was already a natural. I did it naturally on my own, and so I'm like, okay, how else can I help people? Real estate. I have experience because I bought and sold twice on my own, and I did very well in it. So
that's the nugget I get, is that trust factor. We all three own homes, and it's a big deal for someone to go and trust a complete stranger just because you drove by and that was the first real estate agent you talked to. So I found someone that I trusted at the time, and Bobby did as well, was referral based, and all your clients they trust you through the Zumba DJ mixes, as she does everything right in those. I promise you she's not going to screw up doing this either. And that trust is a big thing when you're purchasing a home or selling a home. You don't want anyone that doesn't really care about the person.
Right. It's really a relationship based business, and I think because I do this because I care and I have passion, they see that, and I think, and I give that to them, and even in my real estate business, where I care about them. I want to make them happy, even though I can't make them happy, but if they have any questions, they know they can rely on me. They can go to me for help, and I will give them that time and what they need, you know.
And the same thing happens. The same thing happens in Zumba. So there's people that you've dealt with as an instructor in Zumba that aren't comfortable dancing, period,
right,
and not comfortable dancing with other people that they've never been in for, and
or people seeing them.
And you have to teach them that it's okay to be you. It's you versus and me and the instructor. No one else matters right now.
Right.
Your goals are your goals. You're in here to have a good time and dance, and then the results will come after that.
Yep.
And the same thing in real estate, same thing as a DJ. It really is the same thing as a DJ too, because everyone's out there for one reason, to have a good time.
Yep. To have
I don't know anyone that's going to a club to hear music mix and they're like, man, I'm just going to be bad today.
I just want to be angry and sit here quietly. You're like, no, you want to let that out a little bit. So,
well, especially during the pandemic right now, it's healthy. It's, you know, you want to make sure you have a good roof over your head, whether you're renting or buying, or you know, bought your property. You want to make sure you're still active, that you're not just sitting around scared of what's going on. You got to get your mind off of it. And even I'll do live Zoom DJ events. I've been hired.
Music therapy. I mean,
and just music therapy. Yeah, that's basically it.
Together.
Dance therapy, music therapy, and making sure you can do that with a roof over your head.
I love it. It all came together right there. So
definitely.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Zule, thank you for having us in. Always great to see you. Always great to catch up and hear all the coolest new stuff you've been working on. You can find her at Zeze-SoFlo.
Zeze of SoFlo.
Of SoFlo. There you go. And that's for the entertainment. How do they find you when they need to buy or sell their next home?
So with my real estate, I'm under Zule Mesa Realtor.
Perfect.
I keep that. Well, you know what? Zeze of SoFlo is
still links you back to a lot of them. Yeah,
it's everything I do. But for my professional real estate, my day job, even my weekend job, it's Zule Mesa Realtor.
In your presidential pantsuit and everything.
Yeah,
looking like
that's with the suit and professional.
Yep,
that's the professional that my mom wanted me to be.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Zule Mesa Realtor.
She's got it. She's got that too.
With my DJing and instructor and dance and real estate, because I still will share that, it's Zeze of SoFlo, since I'm from Miami and I work mostly out of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, some real Miami stuff.
So where I met you guys at, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. So don't forget to like and share this episode. Give us a 5-star review. Reach out to Zeze for any real estate information in South Florida. And we will be back with you soon, people.
All right. Thank you, guys.